Playoff lives are on the line here in the final week of the regular season on Gateway Gator Productions. I'm Josh Orsh alongside Vince Russo. And Vince, we've got an interesting matchup here at the end of the year. Gateway 3-6, Hempfield 3-6, non-conference matchup, but a lot of playoff stakes coming into this one.
Yeah, both teams still technically alive going into this last contest of the season. Hempfield and Gateway both done in conference play. Their fates now lie in the selection committee and getting help from some other contests tonight, and we can certainly talk more about that. For Gateway specifically, they need a slew of games to go in their favor tonight. They need Woodland Hills to beat Kiski area. They need Penn Trafford to beat Latrobe, and they need a win, Penn Hills over Plum, amongst others, to get them in a position, and that Moon South Fayette game in the Allegheny 6 will loom large as well, and we'll see what happens. But didn't know that there would come down to this, but they're still alive somehow, some way.
Both teams 2-4 in conference play. Both teams in 6th place in their conference. Gateway in the Big East Conference of 5A. Hempfield in 6A, of course, coming down to play the 5A Gators. Ready for kickoff here from Anti-Marino Stadium. Gateway won the toss and chose to receive. They're going to need some help to get in. But maybe it didn't need to be that way, and we can get into why as we get through this broadcast. But a lot of close calls for Gateway this season as that kick goes out of bounds, and it'll be really good starting field position for the Gators.
Yeah, a bit of a break to start things off for the Gators tonight, and looking for a fast start. They had the 2-touchdown lead at 2 different points last week in the contest against Latrobe and just couldn't make the defensive adjustments to stop the passing game, which is not something we thought we would see in that contest against a run-heavy Latrobe squad. And we talked about Gators might be without the services of S.J. Moorfield tonight. It would be a huge loss, as he's been their top target, over 50 receptions through 9 games. We're going to get a re-kick here.
Going to make them kick it again. Owen Linzenbigler, the kicker for Hempfield. Much better one that time, returnable. Jackson Smith makes a little bit of it up past the 30-yard line. Wanted to try to give a playmaker a chance there. Head coach Don Hall of the Gateway Gators opting for the re-kick after what was a very ugly first kick. That one much better. So maybe some kicking issues for Hempfield as well. Gateway has had their share. James Lococo will be back to kick for the Gators after a couple of missed extra points have cost them, and now they'll set up shop with Elvis Kachakis, freshman quarterback.
Yeah, Brett Rossi kicked well last week in relief for Lococo, but always good to have your guy back in the saddle.
Pitch to the left side. Gans with some lead blockers. Amari Gans, a nice gain on first down. He struggled to get going in the run game last week, especially between the tackles against Latrobe.
It's been feast or famine for Gans this year, although he still had over 100 yards receiving at the contest and still continues to be the catalyst for this offense, eclipsing now 1,000 scrimmage yards and 14 touchdowns on the year.
Play fake to Gans, strike over the middle to Wade Lewis on the slant. He'll be featured heavily with Moorfield out, and Moorfield was the #1 receiver because Kenny Lewis was out at the beginning of the season, so really down to number 3, 4, and beyond for Gateway tonight.
It's been attrition the whole way around for the Gators. We can talk more about the injuries, but they have been a big factor.
Swinging that one out to Gans. Tried to let his blocks develop. Kayan Mbandi was out there as well, just couldn't find a lane. Last week, Gans had a very impressive run where he actually let his offensive lineman get in front of him on a similar type of play.
Yeah, he's had great vision. He's done some really remarkable things in space with the ball in his hands, talking about some of those numbers just a minute ago. And again, with so many injuries on the offensive side of the ball, they've really had to lean on him.
Kachakis, straight drop back, looking for Gans, had a matchup with a linebacker, and Kachakis sailed it.
Yeah, he just missed on that one. From the get-go, you knew where the ball was going because Gans, you'll watch, it looks like he was fired out of a cannon. Right here, he's able to just blow by the linebacker, Braden Gerst, who got caught a little flat-footed there. And Kuchakis, if he's able to pull that one down a bit and put that on the numbers, that's an easy 6 right there.
Looked like he got a little bit excited seeing all that green grass in front of Gans. Hempfield showing pressure here on 3rd and 10. Kuchakis from the shotgun. Fakes the give to Gans. He'll roll to the right. Directing traffic and a throw deep downfield looking for Nazir Diggs. He had him for a touchdown and right through the arms of the freshman who's in the mix with Moorfield down. Really good throw from Kuchakis there.
And for Diggs, that ball probably felt like it was up in the air for an eternity. You know you're all by yourself. And right there, just let the bright lights of Friday night get to him. Now the Gators kind of in no man's land here, just past the 50. Do they pooch punt it, or do you go ahead and go for it here?
Nearly had touchdowns on back-to-back plays, an overthrow and a drop. They'll go for it on 4th and 10. Kuchakis dropping back. He'll take the check down. Looks like a good option. A nice catch and run there for Casey Carter, the sophomore tight end.
Full go. Everything's been there for this passing game in the early going, and even the one handoff they gave to Gans, he was able to find real solid running room. This game really has no meaning whatsoever for Hempfield. You talk about how up do these teams get for it. For Gateway, it would be a pad to its resume since they're going to need the subjectivity of the wild card selection committee. For Hempfield, their resume's set. It's just whether or not they get the tiebreakers to get in.
Gans on the carry up the middle. Brought down by Aiden Allison, the senior linebacker.
You'll take 4 yards on first down every time. I think that's something the Gators have missed the boat on a few times this year, passing the ball pretty heavily on first down, trying to move that ball incrementally. Gans right there did a great job setting yourself up here with 2nd manageable.
A lot of movement along the offensive line for Gateway. No false start is called. Lewis in motion. Kuchakis on the keeper all the way to the left. And last week, Hempfield gave up over 120 rushing yards to the Mount Lebanon quarterback, so maybe that's something we see more from Gateway tonight.
That Kuchakis looked real comfortable there. They haven't done a ton of designed runs from the quarterback position. They certainly did when Sid Bryant was in there, but he was just a different kind of quarterback. Different build. Kuchakis, a little smaller build as a freshman, but there looked up to the task for sure.
The give to Gans again and again, positive yardage. That time on 3rd down, I thought he had moved the chains. Kuchakis on 2nd. Instead, 3rd and 1, and Gans navigates through the pile for the 1st down.
Yeah, I thought that they did as well. I'd be interested at looking back a little closer what that spot looks like. It looked like Kuchakis easily had it, but Gans able to make sure it's a no-doubter there on 3rd down. Fresh set of downs for the Gators.
2-by-2 formation split out wide. Diggs and Dyson Harper to the wide side of the field. Kuchakis with the pitch to Gans. Running that speed option to the left, and Gans gets some nice yardage on 1st down.
Again, you'll take that every time on 1st down. Moving yourself into 2nd and medium, 2nd and short. Kuchakis able to freeze the linebackers up just enough with that threat of him running it and then pitching it to Gans, who's already moving, already in stride, able to just catch that and run. As Gans has done so well this year out of the backfield catching the ball.
Kuchakis fakes the give to Gans. Looking for Gans on the screen. And he's brought down quickly. A nice tackle that time by the Gateway linebacking core. Andrew Jones, number 0, bringing him down. The number 0 bunches up. Looks a little bit like an 8, but Andrew Jones in there making a nice play.
Well, Spartans have won these battles a few times, but by and large, the Gators keep going back to the well on the short passing game, and it's worked here into the red zone.
Kuchakis looking downfield for Diggs. And Diggs just unable to adjust to that one in the air.
Well, that was a dangerous throw, Josh. I mean, that ball seemed to hang for an eternity as you take another look with 2 DBs converging there. I think if they take a little bit better of an angle, that might be an interception. So the Gators definitely caught a break there.
Gateway going to look to the sideline and get the signal. They've been hurry up and wait on this drive. Not a ton of tempo, but they haven't substituted at all, trying to keep this Hempfield defense out there. Kuchakis, a free runner. He evades him, looking downfield for Gans, and that's incomplete on 4th down. And Hempfield's going to take over. A promising drive goes for naught. Hempfield brings pressure and stalls it out in the red zone.
Yeah, that free runner sort of sped up the internal clock for Kuchakis. Here he still has time if he flushes himself out to the right a little bit, but he felt like he had Gans going across there and just couldn't thread the needle on that throw. And really that was the theme of that first drive. You talked about it, Josh, 2 consecutive plays where a better throw on the first and a catch on the second. And the Gators have a 6-0, potentially 7-0 lead here. But again, close calls and missed opportunities have been the theme for the Gators.
And the give is to the Hempfield quarterback, Dominic DeTruff, who throws downfield. Little Wildcat action that time. Andrew Jones, the Wildcat quarterback, handed it off to the regular quarterback, rolling to the left, and it fell incomplete. So some trickery right out of the gate for the Spartans.
I'll tell you what, for the guy who's the primary signal caller, that was an ugly ball on first down. There's no better way to put it.
Unconventional way to get your quarterback into rhythm. That one a little more familiar to DeTruff, hitting the quick screen to the outside. Mitchell Bitar makes a few men miss. Carlos Diggs was over there in coverage, and a first down for Hempfield.
You let Dietrich stand back there and deliver one without the trick play. And another theme for the Gators this year has just been poor tackling in the secondary. How often have we seen that? And that time it leads to a first down for Hempfield. Super frustrating.
A shift from the Hempfield backfield. And a flag comes out. It's going to be a false start. The trickery cost the Spartans that time.
Illegal procedure against Hempfield.
Yeah. Gators will take that break for sure, and we'll see if Hempfield tries to get some of that back on the ground or if they go 3 for 3 here on early passing. It's been a pass-happy attack for both these teams here in the early going.
Spartans have numbers to the wide side of the field. They'll run it to the left with the quarterback. Just 2 Gateway defenders for 3 Hempfield wide receivers. And instead, DeTruff will just keep it to the left and gain about 5, getting the penalty yardage back. Abondi in on the tackle, along with just about everybody else along the Gateway defensive line.
Dietrich able to run the ball. Has a 100-yard rushing performance on the season. Had 103 against Norwin in a big win. Coming off a 13 for 25 performance, 178 yards and an interception in that loss last week against Mount Lebanon.
And that was a costly interception, set up Mount Lebanon in the red zone, and they converted it for a touchdown. That time looking for Jones on the screen, and it sails on Dietrich. Now it'll be 3rd and 10.
Looking around the out-of-town scoreboard, which is going to be super important tonight. Penn Trafford does have an early 7-0 lead on Latrobe. That is a game that currently is in the Gators' favor. Also, interestingly enough, Armstrong up early 7-0 on Franklin Regional. See if that heads anywhere or holds for a team that's winless in conference play versus a team that's playoff bound, and the Panthers.
Faking the screen, and they'll throw the screen on 3rd and 10, and Gateway Gans is there to tackle them short and set up 4th and about 6.
A good awareness by Gans and company. Bend but don't break. Understand where the sticks are. Make a good sound tackle. Get your defense off the field. And now that offense that looked so good, really had some flashes on that first drive. Can they put it together and find the end zone this time?
Ian Woods back to return. Typically Moorfield is the punt returner for the Gators. Woods, the junior Defensive back and wide receiver fields it on the bounce. Risky decision.
Woods taking the kick.
Gets a few yards out of it before he dives down just past the 35-yard line.
That's one of those ones that
First down,
makes
Gators.
you sort of recoil just a little bit, but Woods sure-handed, able to pick that one up, gain a few yards, and for the second time the Gators start north of the 30. Again, that passing game showed what it can be and what I think as Kachakis continues to age. And you gotta remember, especially at the high school level, a freshman being 14, 15, facing against guys on defense that are 17, 18, those 2 years of cognitive and physical development cannot be understated.
Gans tries to bounce that one outside, and he does, breaking a few tackles down the sideline now. Amari Gans stiff arms a defender, and he's brought down at about the 10-yard line. Gans didn't break any last week. It didn't look like he was going to break that one either. And then he escapes for a huge run down the right sideline.
Take another look. RPO gives it to the back, and right there able to just shrug off a couple arm tacklers and then able to just find some separation and a touchdown-saving tackle there at the end by the defensive back, Reddick Catcher. But not before Gans is able to flip the field and put the Gators in a goal-to-go situation here on the second play of this drive.
And now another 5 yards for Gateway as Kachakis got the Hempfield defensive line to jump off sides. Gateway going with some pace after that big run to keep the tired defense out there. Now just 5 yards from pay dirt. Sprint option to the right. The pitch is to Gans, and he gets to the front corner of the end zone. Touchdown, Gateway. The Gators strike first.
Nothing complicated about that. Great play call by Don Hall and company. That play's been there all night in the early going. That's the third or fourth time they've run that. And Hempfield playing off, not putting a ton of guys in the box, and that pitch has allowed them to gain consistently about a half a dozen yards every single time. So on 1st and 5, just a few yards from pay dirt. Great play call, great execution, and Gators got to feel good after you know you should have had 6 on the last drive and now come up with it here on this one.
James Lococo, that's through 7-0, the Gateway lead. And as you mentioned about Kachakis, we're talking about his development. We talked about it a lot last week. We saw him throwing on the move and some impressive downfield throws. We saw one today that was dropped. Gateway also puts a lot of responsibility on his shoulders to make those RPO decisions, as you mentioned. That one, the sprint option. As a freshman quarterback, it's probably going to take some time to always make the right pitch, decide when to keep it, and make those right decisions. It seems like at the end of the season here, after a year where he was banged up, it's kind of trending in the right direction. The offense seems to be humming.
Oh, absolutely. And, he's going to have an off season now to go through the full weightlifting program and to continue to study the playbook and to have a season of film, to go back and look at what worked, what didn't. He's going to continue to physically and mentally grow and mature as a young man, and he's going to have the opportunity, if he invests the time, to, I think, really be a special player for the Gateway Gators. And so this season, in the here and now, you get disappointed about some of these outcomes this season that have been close games that haven't gone your way. But I think we're going to look back at this as setting the foundation for that next run that the Gators go on.
And still a chance to maybe get some playoff experience. That one fielded around the 5-yard line, trying to reverse field, and successfully reversing field is Aiden Allison. To the 44 or 45-yard line. Allison nearly didn't field that kickoff and was able to bust it the other way for a huge return and set Hempfield up with great field position.
And the number one job, if you're on kick coverage, is to stay in your lane and try and force the return man back up the middle. There you just see too many guys taking a bad angle, collapsing and not staying in their lane on kick coverage. And that allowed the return man to bust that one toward the sidelines with a ton of space to set Hempfield up with great field position just moments after you took all the momentum in this game by driving down and scoring a quick touchdown offensively.
Dietrich fakes the give, throws over the middle. That's complete to Jack Kopus, the junior receiver who leads this passing offense for the Spartans.
A real nice tackle closing in and wrapping up Julian Dancier. We've seen him make plays offensively, but able to limit the damage there, prevent the first down, and make that receiver think twice about coming across the middle of the field again, because he took quite the hit at the end of that one.
Trips to the far side for Hempfield, one tight end along the end of the offensive line to the near side. Dietrich dropping back, looking deep, looking for Kopus. Maybe not on the same page or just an overthrow there, but it falls harmlessly.
Dietrich has a real unorthodox throwing motion.
Phillip Rivers-esque shot put kind of area from up around the ear.
It does not look super comfortable, I'll say that much. And he just well off the mark on that one.
From the pistol, Dietrich. Tight end comes in motion. And a straight handoff. Haven't seen many of those. Rogan Catcher with the first down carry.
I think that's the first real design run we've seen from Hempfield in total. They have been pass happy to start this game. That time, just keeping things simple out of the pistol, like you said, and getting enough yards to keep this drive going and get into Gators territory for the first time.
Tight end in motion again. Two tight ends set this time. And the give again to Catcher, brought down in the backfield quickly. Gans was there, Casey Carter was there, and Bondi was there. Everybody into the backfield quickly. Gans was there first. For as good as he's been as a running back, he's been an excellent linebacker.
Sure has. That's been an area of real strength for the Gators. Jackson Smith down there, Gans, as we've talked about, Colin Ireland, and certainly they're missing Sid Bryant, who was just tremendous before going down with a season-ending injury.
Play action, and that pass is behind Kopus.
Well, you got decision-making time now. You're down a score early. You've got to be weary of putting that Gators offense right back on the field with your gas defense that on two different drives has gotten gashed pretty badly. You see, this might be this is another one of those instances where you might see a pooch punt, but if I'm Hempfield, you might try to roll the dice here in a game where the stakes aren't necessarily as high for you as it is for the Gators.
Catcher leaking out. Flag is thrown, and he has first down yardage. Dietrich hitting the check down, getting positive yardage out of it, but it's going to be against Hempfield. They'll back him up for third and extra long.
See if we can see exactly what happened. Looks like maybe a hold there on Mark Knight as he got dragged down for sure.
Owen Linsenbigler, the right tackle for Hempfield, a senior, who's also doing the kicking duties tonight. Jacob Horniak at left tackle, Dominic Granata at left guard, Brandon Stanislav at center, and Jacob Weirderstein at right guard for the Hempfield offensive line. Now third and very, very long, 22. Catcher goes in motion. Dietrich looking downfield, has some room to run. He won't. And that one incomplete, sails out of bounds. And it'll be fourth and 22.
Well, Gators, caught quite the break there on that holding call. It was a good call. You saw the frustration after they gave up a third and long that time, making sure that they don't make the same mistake. Good coverage. Dietrich just sort of had to throw that one away, and now the Gators get a chance to build on this early lead. Had the 2-touchdown lead last week. It's all about can they stay in rhythm in all three facets. So far, so good.
The punt is away. Woods is back, gets out of the way of that one, and it's a good one as it rolls to the 10-yard line. That's where Gateway will have to start their third possession.
Now, that was a gorgeous punt. The first two both have been pretty darn good from Cardin Lippman. The Gators going to have by far their longest road to the end zone, but they sure have been able to move the ball here effectively. And last week they had their opportunities as well, Josh. We talked about it. There are a number of post routes where you had open receivers across the middle of the field. They just were unable to get the ball into the hands of the receivers at the right time. And so it just feels like with this Gators team, they're so close to being the explosive offense that they've been in the past. Let's see if they can hit on one here.
Kachaka's taking a shot, looking for Lewis, and the underthrown deep ball, one of the best plays in football, pass interference, is the call against Owen Buchholz, the senior defensive back for Hempfield.
And that's textbook. Defender needs to get that head around, made contact with the receiver as the ball is coming in. Wade Lewis, on his end, did a great job of coming back to the ball to ensure that the call gets drawn right here, going up for the ball there, and that's textbook. They're going to call that every time, right in front of the official, too. And so that's a nice break for the Gators. Gets them out of the shadow of their own end zone, sets them up at their own 25.
Diggs comes in motion across the formation. Play action fake to Gans across the middle, looking for Carter, and that was a nicely designed play for another big gain. Carter still not down. And finally this play whistled dead.
Carter's so sure-handed, and he's been able to make big plays when he's had the ball in his hands, which candidly might not have been enough times this season. 14 receptions, 5 of them going for touchdowns. He is someone who makes big plays. Had 2 in that first contest of the season, both with a ton of yak. That time he does the same thing, a really nice over-the-shoulder grab, gets him out towards midfield.
Getting the sophomore tight end on the same page as the freshman quarterback, a good sign for the future of Gateway. A deep shot to Lewis, and Guchakis hits it. Touchdown Gators, a great throw. The quarterback was scrambling around, kept his eyes downfield, and that might be the best throw we've seen from him in a while.
That shows you flashes of what this Gateway team can do and what they can be. Kachak does a great job avoiding pressure, stepping up in the pocket, making a throw on the run, and boy, was that a dime. Just puts it right in the breadbasket for Lewis, who was able to walk into the end zone unscathed. Now the Gators with a 2-possession lead.
Lococo adds the extra point. 14-0 is the score, and in all levels of football, they talk about throwing off platform being a big skill for quarterbacks. We saw it there from Kuchakis on the run. He's been great throwing on the run in each of the past 2 weeks. An excellent throw, and we can take another look at it. Also, watch Lewis on this. Wins at the top of the route and just has so much space to the far side of the field to get open. Kuchakis lays it out perfectly. Touchdown Gateway, and off to a very, very hot start.
Yeah, it's been an ideal start. Defensively, you've been lights out. Offensively, you've had 3 drives, all with opportunities to put points on the board. You came up short on the first, and you've been able to keep that momentum going into the second and third drives. You didn't hang your head, even though things got away from you last week, and you come up short on the first drive today. Good resiliency from a Gateway team that's faced a lot of adversity this season, and by all accounts, no one would blame this team if they decided they wanted to roll over and just sort of quit, frankly, in this last game of the season. You've lost a plethora of your best players. You're starting a ton of underclassmen. It's a rebuilding year to some extent, but the Gators showing some great resiliency and growth here in this contest.
Kickoff this time goes to Kopass and stops short of the 20-yard line, just past the 15 is where Hempfield's going to start things off.
Now, almost lost his footing right here inside the 10, which would have been disastrous, but things don't get all that much better as the turf monster comes up and just drags him down. Self-inflicted wound for Hempfield is going to set them up with pretty poor field position, and this Gators defense, after how well they played the last possession, got to be pinning their ears back. A takeaway here would be huge in breaking this game open for the Gators. And one where this is your last chance to pass the eye test and show the playoff committee that you deserve to be in the big dance.
Quick throw to the outside and a good decision. Kopass, a lot of room to run. Trying to make Harper miss. He's out past the 40-yard line. And take a look at the formation early. Gateway didn't have the numbers over to that side.
And they set this up perfectly. Hats on hats. And just, like you said, Josh, not enough bodies over there to make a play before a huge gain for the Spartans. And talk about those swings of momentum. You had them pinned at their 16. Now they're up over the 40 and back in business on a second consecutive drive.
Give inside. And Rogan catcher is stuffed. And Gateway continuing to play the same way. Hempfield splitting out 3 receivers to the wide side of the field, or the near side of the field that time, rather. And only 1 defender over that bunch, the safety over there as well. But it seems like if Hempfield wants to throw that screen a lot, they can just do it. Now they'll go trips to the far side. Dietrich flanked by catcher in the backfield. The give is to catcher. And a nice tackle there by Smith. Met him in the hole.
That makes it third manageable now for the Spartans as the back's able to fall forward and Smith just sort of spins him around. Gives him an extra yard, but boy, did he earn it on a big hit there. And we got 1 quarter already in the books here, Josh. We're flying by.
And Gateway's got to be feeling really good on their sideline. 2 touchdown drives and a third that maybe should have been with a couple of big plays. Kuchakis missed what would have been a touchdown throw to Gans and then hit a great throw to freshman wide receiver Nazir Diggs, who dropped it. That was on the first drive of the game. Since then, it's been pretty much perfection on the offensive side for Gateway and exactly what they want to see at the end of the season, either to propel them into the playoffs or to leave a really good taste in your mouth. We still got 3 quarters to go, but it's a hot start for the Gators in this one.
And lest we not forget, Gators had this 14-0 lead at a similar juncture in last week's game and were unable to materialize that into a win. But they have really played well here in the early going, and they're getting some scores to go in their favor. Penn Trafford's up 14-0 on Latrobe at the end of 1, and Woodland Hills with a 7 spot on the board, keeping Kiski off the board 7-0 at the end of 1. And take a look at this Big East Conference, and the top 3 are already set in stone due to tiebreakers. So Franklin Regional, Penn Trafford, Woodland Hills will represent the conference in the playoffs. But if Latrobe and Kiski fall tonight and the Gators are sitting there tied with them at 2 and 4, a lot of people in the local press think the Gators get the nod.
Bringing some heat. And sacked is Dietrich. Jackson Smith in there immediately. And that'll set up 4th and very long. That was a 3rd and 5 coming out of the quarter break. Mark Knight in there to help finish things off.
That's a big-time play to make this a no-doubt punt situation. Even if there's an incompletion there around midfield, you think Hempfield might still think about going for it, but now you get the ball back again to start this second quarter with all the momentum and a 2-touchdown lead.
The punt is away. Ian Woods back to receive, and he gets out of the way of it. Down at the 31-yard line, and that's where Gateway is going to set up shop. Another fairly nice punt by Carden Lippman for Hempfield, but very good field position and second defensive possession in a row where potentially Hempfield had a chance to convert on 3rd down, but they made it 4th and even longer with some negative plays. First a penalty, that time a big sack. Impressive performance so far from the Gators defense.
Another out-of-town score holding serve in favor of the Gators. Penn Hill's up 7-0 on Plum.
Dance here is going to come in motion across the formation. Kuchakis looking deep and throwing deep. Looking for Lewis, nearly intercepted. That one thrown into double coverage. Reddick catcher got his hand on it but couldn't haul it in.
Yeah, that's one where things have been going your way. So that's what you call, I think, a heat check in this moment. But that's one you got to pull down and either throw away or just find a different place, because that ball was going to have to be beyond perfect to thread the needle between those two defenders.
Kuchakis maybe pulling up from 5 feet behind the three-point line there. The swing out to Gans. Trying to make a layup on second down, and a modest gain of 4 yards will set up 3rd and 6 for the Gateway offense. They're playing with some pace now. Trips to the near side, the wide side of the field. And now they'll get the signal from the sideline.
Had a lot of success last week with crossing routes. See if they try to go with something across the middle of the field here.
They do. A slant to Diggs, who's lit up by Kopaz over the middle and can't hang on to it. That was going to be a really tough catch for the 145-pound freshman. You might want to go over the middle, maybe not to a 145-pound receiver.
Well, and certainly you want to put him in a position where he's not going to get popped like that. Diggs, I give him credit for even getting his hands on that and almost bringing that in. That is a tough play.
Was willing to take the hit. And now Jackson Smith back to punt. Chance for Hempfield to take over.
That hit a player.
That hit the back of the Hempfield player, and it's up for grabs right now. They're fighting for it. They're going to say recovered by Hempfield very quickly. A heads-up play there. Watch it hit the back of the Hempfield player right there, who turns around and is able to rip it away from Monty Lemon of Gateway.
I'm not so sure that Lemon didn't secure that first on the ground.
They were quick, and the possession is going to go to Gateway. They were very quick to signal that for Hempfield, and I'm not sure how they would have even known, because the only chance for Hempfield at that point was to rip it away from Lemon. It looked like he got his hands on it immediately.
And when Lemon had his hands on it and is touched, that play is immediately dead. And so credit to this officiating staff. Certainly a little frustrating that they were so overzealous to make that call erroneously at first, but then to focus in, have a conference, and to get it right. And I'm sure that on the other sideline, there is some real frustration for Nick Kiefer and his staff over at Hempfield, but that's absolutely the right call. Lemon dove on the ball, heads-up play by the special teamer, and again, as soon as he had that ball secured and was touched on the ground before that ripping away initiated, he's down by contact.
And they didn't even, unlike the SEC, didn't even need any bottles to fly onto the field to get them to overturn it to the right call. The give up the middle is to Gans. He's got a lot of room to run, tries to break it outside, does break a tackle, has a lane now, and to the end zone, touchdown, Gans. A great run, just wouldn't go down, and a flag comes in the end zone. Looked like after the play.
I wonder if they're going to flag him for his celebration while he was down on the field.
Looks like that might be it, but either way, the 6 points on the board for Gateway. An excellent run from Gans, who looked like he had nowhere to go before he stepped out of a tackle, and we'll hear what the call is.
No, it's going to be a call on the defense. Looked like a personal foul call.
Not sure what happened in the end zone. It came in very late. Maybe a late hit on Gans as he went into the end zone. Lococo on to add the extra point. Kuchakis the hold. And the kick is good, 21-0 Gateway. They get the ball back quickly and turn it into a touchdown with the Amari Gans run right up the middle.
Now let's take another look at this. I mean, Gans, just such a great job. First of all, great blocking. The hole was there all the way, but right here, able to stop on a dime, get out of that would-be tackle, and then from there, able to turn on the Jets and just outrun the defensive secondary. It's a combination of speed, vision, all the things you want to see out of your back, and now a 16th touchdown on the season for Gans over 10 games. Just such a special season that he's having for the Gators.
And they've certainly needed it with all the attrition on the offense, losing playmakers. Feels like week after week, Gans has been the steadying force for Gateway on that side of the ball, on both sides of the ball as well, playing excellent linebacker. And you've also got to look at that penalty at the end. Kopass pushing Gans after he was across the goal line, drew the flag. And now Gateway and Lococo going to send it away, ahead 21-0 with just over 10 minutes remaining in the first half.
And I hesitate to let my mind wander too much, and this kick is going to come from Hempfield territory after that personal foul. So this is likely going to be a touchback. Or I always kind of think in this situation, and maybe it's playing with fire. Do you want to do that, or do you just want to lay it up? Do you want to kick this way up in the air inside the 10-yard line and try and let that ball hang so that your kick coverage team can get down there and try and pin them deep? But we've seen a couple good returns here tonight for Hempfield. You might just want to kick this out of the back of the end zone.
Especially up 21-0. Field position not all that important relative to not giving up a big return.
And your defense is playing really, really well. So, I mean, ultimately the right decision there to just kick that one out of the back of the end zone. And I'll tell you what, again, I don't want to let my mind wander too much, but if the Gators are able to play a full 48 minutes in this way and continue to add on to this score, what a great last impression you're making to the playoff committee, especially if some of these scores hold. And we talked about it, what is very likely to end up in the Big East if scores hold serve tonight is you're going to have probably 4 teams vying for 2 wild card positions. The loser of Moon versus South Fayette, and then you're going to have Kiski area, Latrobe, and Gateway, and we'll talk more about that in a second.
Screen goes to the far side, and a nice tackle by Dan Sear driving the receiver out of bounds. It was Mitchell Bitar who got it, and as you mentioned, those teams in that group, Gateway has lost to Latrobe, beaten Kiski, lost very close to Latrobe, and we'll see what those results look like to kind of get a better picture of what things are going to look like when they make those selections.
Well, and what's interesting is there's no clear-cut team out of those 3 because Latrobe beat Gateway, but then lost to Kiski, who lost to Gateway, who, you know, they all won one, lost another between those 3, and so it creates this situation where you're trying to untangle a bowl of spaghetti.
And while wins would have been more helpful for Gateway, close losses to Woodland Hills and Franklin Regional don't hurt your resume at this point, especially decided on some extra points. The quarterback keeper there as we take a look at the Hempfield offense trying to get out of first gear. Really spinning their wheels early on in this one. Empty formation with Dietrich.
The Gators have really done a good job winning the battle at the line of scrimmage, and it is shown here in the score.
Brought motion across. Not sure if it was window dressing or trying to lay a block, but they never had numbers in the box to want to keep it with the quarterback there, and they're stuffed and looks like they're going to go for it on 4th down.
What a great play by Mark Knight. It looked like for a minute that Dietrich was going to have enough green space right here, and then just knifing through, taking a great angle, making a sure-handed tackle there is Mark Knight, who has been so good at that linebacker position all season long.
Receiver coming into motion. And on 4th down, Hempfield gets a conversion and a little bit extra. Rogan Catcher out of the backfield, and they had success on a similar play earlier that was called back due to a holding penalty. That time, Catcher sneaking through the line and grabbing that for the 1st down.
That's one of those where you have to keep an eye on the back, bleeding out of the backfield on a play like that where they only need a few yards. That time, he gets a free release, just too easy.
And Dietrich breaking a tackle. He's going to scramble. Has a lot of room before he's brought down finally by Stammer at about the 35-yard line of Gateway. And now a flag comes in very late. We'll see who it's on.
Hey, interesting. That came from the official who's about the furthest away from the play. Might be a sideline warning on the Gators, it looks like. Yep.
Nearly a sack there for Gateway. Dietrich, a physical runner at the quarterback position, 6 foot 215. And that's the value of having a bigger player back there.
He got some wheels on him, too. Is able to outrun a few of these Gators on defense. And Hempfield's made some big plays. They just haven't been able to punctuate any of these drives.
Have an open man downfield, and Harper nearly took it away. Looking for Kopass was Dietrich. Got him wide open with the pump fake. And it just hung up there for a little bit too long.
Harper's kicking himself, and with good reason. He should have taken that one away, had full rights to it there, and just let that one. It would have been, it's a tough catch over the shoulder going toward the sidelines, but that's one where he might have been thinking about what he was going to do with the ball after he caught it before he fully looked that one in.
Dance here, the strong safety, bit on that pump fake hard coming down, and it was covered up, though, by the range of Harper, who's a deep threat on the offensive side of the ball, and that skill set translating well to the back of the secondary. Dietrich tucking that and running. That'll set up third and manageable, about 4 yards. How did he hang on to that one?
That was impressive. Saw that the pump fake worked for him the last time, figured he'd go back to the well on that, and then good job just putting his nose down and setting up third and manageable for what is likely, again, 4-down territory for Hempfield.
Looked like a Big Ben pump fake. Can't do that with Kenny Pickett hands. Rolling out right, Dietrich. Looking for a man downfield. Has him, and he'll complete that one for a first down to Kopaz. And just inside the red zone now.
And worth noting, Hempfield's got themselves a field goal kicker. Certainly it's full steam ahead, but looking at potential 4-down territory now, you do got a guy who hit from 22 and 32 last week.
Running back goes in motion. Dietrich swarmed and brought down by Roberson Louis-June.
Yeah, so many of those guys playing really well tonight. Louis-June, we've called K&M Bandy's name a few times tonight. No Craig Schultz down there tonight for the Gators on the defensive side. So far, this defense really playing well, trying to keep Hempfield off the scoreboard here. And again, going with trips. Motion one over.
Play fake, rolling out right, looking downfield, and he has a receiver with some room to run. Falling forward to about the 3-yard line. Looks like it was Buckholtz. Oh, rather, Andrew Jones, number 0. 0 and 8, hard to differentiate. I don't love going to including number 0 from a broadcaster's perspective. Not the most fun. A big play there for Jones. Dietrich now looking to run. Wrapped up quickly, but still gaining some yardage, it looks like.
Yeah, he's a big body. His ability to always fall forward, super important.
Sena Agbodzi was there first. Number 50 for the Gators.
That last play looked like a bit of a broken play. You had 2 receivers run to the exact same spot on the field. It looked like it might result in a coverage sack, but then Jones was able to sort of cut up north, got himself free. A smart play by the junior to set this now 2nd and goal opportunity up.
Timeout coming from the Hempfield sideline. Didn't like the look they had or didn't know what play call they had in there around the goal line, and a valuable down. They don't want to waste it. 4:47 remaining in the first half.
Super, super frustrating if it's the latter. You're in the last week of the regular season, and to not be on the same page, to not know what's going on, feels borderline inexcusable. And so the Gators with their first real test here, can they get the stop? Try to keep this Hempfield team off the scoreboard.
And if we're looking around at scoreboard watching season, if Gateway does sneak in, there's a good chance they're playing somebody from the Allegheny 6.
Absolutely. They're probably going to end up as that 12 seed, maybe the 11, but you're looking at really the loser of Peters Township and Bethel Park, who are playing tonight. At last update, Peters Township had scored to go ahead 14-7 in that one. So if the Gators find their way in, we might be heading over to the South Hills for a playoff contest next week. And boy, the Gators will have their hands full. Those are some really, really good football teams. And that Allegheny 6 is looked at as maybe one of the best conferences top to bottom in recent memory.
Going to be a keeper here and a touchdown. Wildcat on the goal line. And it's Reddick Catcher, number 2 for Hempfield, who finds the end zone. Big hit by Gans. Mark Knight was there, but just not in time as Catcher able to sneak across for the touchdown, pending the extra point from Linzenbigler, the right tackle. And it's good. Not the prettiest of kicks, but it counts the same, 21-7. The Gateway lead trimmed to 14.
And now this is one of those opportunities. You're faced a little bit of adversity for the first time tonight. How do you respond with your offense on the field with 4:42 left? Can you take a good chunk off of the clock here, put some more points on the board, and really send yourself into the locker room feeling good about what by and large has been a very impressive half of football for the Gators? And full marks to Hempfield. They had been making the spot big plays here and there, but had drive stall out. That time they just were able to execute and put a full drive together. And now for the Gators, get a chance to go back over, make some adjustments, and try and stop them the next time out. You've been playing incredibly well in all 3 facets of the game. You got a chance here to really grab back that momentum before the end of this half and really grow and learn from what happened last week where you had the momentum and just continued to let it slip through your hands against Latrobe.
Hempfield finding some success on the ground. That's been the recipe to beat this Gateway defense for most of the year. They finally found it with the running game and getting the quarterback on the move as well. So some, as you said, momentum for the Spartans and a chance to answer now for a well-rested, for the most part, Gateway offense, especially those players that aren't going both ways, though at this point in the season there aren't many of them.
The first time that they really had an extended stay over on the sidelines. So an opportunity now to catch your breath and come back out and hopefully continue to sling that ball around, as they have had a field day getting the ball into the hands of these different receivers, even down a few men in that receiving core. The fact that Kuchakis has still been able to find open receivers, a testament to this coaching staff and this roster.
Kuchakis looking to the near side for Carter, and it looked like a really good throw. Got his feet tangled up with the defensive back, and it's going to be a flag. Assume defensive pass interference on Reddick Catcher.
Oh, absolutely. The DB, even though it wasn't intentional, interfered with the pass. You'll see it here on the route at the bottom of your screen. Gans cuts here, and right there, it just gets pushed. I mean, he has a chance to make that play if that doesn't occur. That's textbook pass interference and a really great call. I'm surprised it took that long for the flag to come out.
Kuchakis looking deep again, has Gans, and a perfect throw that time. Gans still tough to bring down. There is a flag on the field, but he'll reach the end zone for the 3rd time. It's near the line of scrimmage, which isn't always a great sign for the offense, and it looks like it's going to be coming back.
Yeah, and an eligible man downfield for the Gators. And Kuchakis, if nothing else, he figured out that, as we talked about off air, looked like the moon ball, right? That rust through into the hands of Freiermuth toward the end of the Steelers game. And a beautiful throw, a great catch here by Gans. And boy, Hempfield does not want any part of Gans tonight. They do not want to tackle that young man, as he again able to evade any would-be tacklers and get to the end zone. And so that is a huge gut punch, but you still get to go back to the drawing board here. You're moving the ball super effectively. This gives you a chance to continue to wind that clock down. You just got to keep your heads in it here, even though you had 6 taken off the board.
The way Kuchakis is throwing the ball, 1st and 15 shouldn't be too daunting. Hempfield showing a pressure look. They'll bring it. The give is to Gans, and he'll fight forward for about 3 yards to set up 2nd and 11 or 12 here with around 4:30 remaining in the half.
Let's see if the Gators continue to go tempo here. The hole was there for a minute, but a good job filling those gaps here by the linebacking core for Hempfield.
Gateway offensive line has done a nice job. Kyan Bondi, Chase Gabriel, Carter Rathvon, Elijah Fisher, and Malik Anderson from left to right. Tight formation now for Gateway, 2nd and long. Gans goes in motion out of the backfield. Kuchakis looking downfield. Instead, he'll check it down to Diggs, who that time hangs on to it, and he's wrestled down across the 50 into Hempfield territory, and 3rd and short for the Gators.
Yeah, when he got spun down, he got an extra yard or 2 at the end of that one, which makes it 3rd and very manageable for a Gators team that's getting back up on the ball and trying to go quick.
They'll look to the sideline again. You want to milk some of the clock off. You don't want to give Hempfield too much time if you do score here before the half. Seems to be the thought process. The give to Gans, breaks it outside, has a blocker. Lewis, a nice block downfield, but the flag comes out.
Lewis,
it's going to be a holding on Lewis. That'll take that big run off the board for Gateway.
You got to know when to let go. You got to know at that point, you've got a big gain. If that DB makes a tackle, it's not ideal, but it's better than what happens here with the holding call. That's going to bring a big chunk of that back. That'll be spot of the foul, the run already being pretty productive, so it's still going to move the chains. But, boy, it could have been a whole lot more. At that point, if Lewis lets go, you're still not sure if that DB is able to turn, get his hips around, and make that tackle. That's probably still a house call. So here on this drive alone, you've taken 2 touchdowns off the board. And if you're Don Hall, it's got to be so frustrating because it's, again, this team's got so much potential. Just can they get out of their own way sometimes?
Kuchakis from the shotgun, flanked again by Gans. And the pitch to Gans. Nice decision there by Kuchakis. Was waiting until the defenders finally committed to him to pitch that out to his running back.
Yeah, such a high football IQ play by Kuchakis. Standing in, knowing that he might end up taking a hit, but waiting long enough to freeze that defense up to give Gans the appropriate running room to make that a really nice gain on 1st down.
This one looks like a straight keeper for Kuchakis, working left and working all the way to the sideline for no gain. If they're going to run him, it seems like the preference is to get him out on the edges. Still an undersized freshman at quarterback and one who's had some injury issues already this year.
Kuchakis has some wheels on him, definitely has the speed game. Not the size just yet, but again, as a freshman, you're hoping there's still a growth spurt or 2 in there for the young man.
Give to Gans up the middle, looking for some room. There wasn't any. Jack Humes, the senior, brings him down. Now 4th and about 5. Decision time, but it doesn't look like it is any decision for Gateway. They're keeping the offense out there. Certainly want to run the clock down as far as you can before you snap this one if you give it back. The Gateway offense is going to go, and they go early. Swing out to Gans. See if Hempfield can tackle him. It's going to be close.
Is it ever? That is right there, and I'm not so sure that he got it.
From that spot, it doesn't look like it. Going to be a yard short, and it looked like Lewis maybe a little hesitant to block after drawing that holding call.
Yeah, didn't get all that much there, and I like the play call. I really do. I was thinking, this seems like the opportunity for a screen. It's 4th and short. You think there might be some pressure coming, so a chance to maybe catch Hempfield off guard after you've sort of gone away from the screen after having some success with it early in the contest. And so sometimes you try your best, you execute, but the defense executes just a little bit better. I think that's what happened that time, and you just sort of take your lumps, try to keep Hempfield off the board here and take a 2-score lead into the half.
2:10 remaining for the Spartans. And it's going to be Dietrich on the keeper. Knight there first. Didn't bring him down, but got some help. I believe Smith in there as well to make the tackle.
Now you'll take that. There's not enough time in this half for 3 yards and a cloud of dust. Hempfield's going to have to move the ball with some chunk plays here, so that's a win on first down if you're the Gators.
Bringing on an additional receiver to do it, Owen Buckholtz. In for Jack Humes, the big tight end. So some more speed out there for the Spartans, 135 and ticking away.
See if they go with a screen here in that trips package again.
Dietrich looking downfield, and he'll throw over the middle. It's a good throw. The catch is made by Buckholtz and well into Gateway territory.
It has been a tough showing in this first half for that Gators secondary. Another chunk play. They were able to stop the bleeding on the first 2 drives and prevent Hempfield from putting it all together. But now this offense has momentum after finding the end zone on the last drive, and they're going to have to find a way to jump in front of one of these or at least break a few passes up.
5 wide receivers on the field for Hempfield. Dietrich looking left. He'll get it out quickly to Kopass. Has some room to run. Trying to work back to the sideline. Brought down inbounds. That's important. Stammer on the tackle. And timeout Hempfield. That's their second of the half. They have 1 remaining.
Yeah, the clock might end up being the 13th man here for the Gators, or the 12th man for the Gators, because they have gotten gashed here several times throughout the evening, that's for sure.
Chance for Hempfield to score heading into the half, and a week ago, Gateway had a 2-touchdown lead early, and Latrobe figured things out with a physical running quarterback. Seeing some similarities in this matchup potentially, but the Gators still moving the ball very well on offense, and that's a good sign for Gateway. But right now you got to get a stop before you go into the break. 46 seconds, 2nd and 3, the ball on the 29-yard line for Dietrich and the Spartans. Sticking with this 4-receiver set rather, and a running back now. Catcher trips to the wide side and split out very wide. Looks like one-on-one to the bottom of your screen. Dietrich looking that way, and a delayed give to Catcher. A great play call, and he's into the end zone. Harper missed the tackle. Everyone olayed Catcher around the goal line, and the Spartans, out of the timeout, put 6 on the board. It's a 1-score game.
And you start to feel, oh no, here we go again. Some deja vu from games earlier this season. Blown leads against Woodland Hills, and then last week against Latrobe, where you were up by a similar score, 21-7 at a similar juncture in the game.
Extra point is through. Linzenbigler makes it 21-14. Still a little bit of time if you're Gateway.
Well, you have all 3 timeouts, and you have an offense that has put together some big plays, a couple of which have gotten called back. But Kuchakis has made some big throws tonight. It has been abundantly clear that this Hempfield defense has no interest in tackling Amari Gans. And so I think you try to get the ball into his hands. And the beauty of having this time left is you can work, and the timeouts in your pocket, is you can work that middle of the field. We've seen a couple times the ability for Gans to bleed out and that over-the-shoulder pass as you take another look.
Talk about not wanting to tackle a running back.
No, it was a poor showing tackling-wise there for that Gators defense. That secondary has struggled with that all season long, and it's reared its head. We saw it last week with miscommunications and poor tackling against Latrobe. Now this week, again, rearing its head at an inopportune time right before the half.
And a really smart play call that time by Hempfield as they're going to kick the ball away to go with the delayed handoff with a lot of defensive backs on the field. So test their tackling. That ball is live. Eventually it's finally fielded by Cole heading to the right side. And he gets out of bounds with a little bit of help from Brady Booner.
Well, you have decent field position yet again. It's sort of where you've started most of your drives, between the 30 and 35 after a decent return by Cole. You didn't lose a ton of time in the process of it. You got 34 seconds. The key is, do you want to try and take a deep shot in a play that's going to take a little bit more time to develop? There's that risk reward. Or do you want to try to do what they did last week, which is work the ball with some short and intermediate throws to that 40 to 50-yard line in plus territory and then just take a shot at the end zone to end the half?
3 wide receivers to the wide side. Kuchakis fakes the give to Gans and swings it out to Gans. And a nice play that time by Braden Gerst. Gerst has had the responsibility of dealing with, that time it was Cole, not Gans, leaking out of the backfield, and that time a really good play by the linebacker for Hempfield. So no Gans here just before the half.
You know, Gans probably just trying to catch his breath with the amount he's played and ran tonight. Right there on the sidelines, taking a knee. See if they find him back in the game before the end of this half.
Kuchakis dropping back, throwing over the middle. Harper makes the grab and goes down wisely at about the 47-yard line, and timeout is called. A nice grab by Harper and another really good throw from Kuchakis, who's been pretty dialed in the entire first half.
Yeah, that's a nice connection. Again, you're able to use the middle of the field because you've got these timeouts in your pocket. And so now you got to decide, do you want to take a shot deep downfield with the remaining 21.9 seconds that you have left and try and go for 6 that way? Or do you want to take 2 or 3 shots here and try and put yourself in a position for a Hail Mary or a long field goal attempt?
Still have additional timeouts to work the middle as we take a look at the Northeast Conference of 5A. Pine Richland 7-1, 4-0, and one of the top contenders along with those 3 teams in the Big East to maybe win the whole thing.
Yeah, they lost their talented sophomore quarterback. Aaron Strader went down with a clavicle injury. There is no signs of a break, but his status up in the air. It was unlikely he was going to play tonight. The big game in this conference tonight, Plum and Penn Hills. Penn Hills is taking care of business now. If Plum were to find a way to win that game, it would throw a wrench into any potential playoff hopes for the Gators.
Kuchakis leaks out of the pocket, looking to direct some traffic, and now just trying to get to the sideline to stop the clock. A modest gain that time, and it just didn't look like he had any receivers to that side of the field.
Made what he could out of it. Being that they had the timeouts, he could have tried to cut this up, but I do appreciate a great football IQ play here by the freshman quarterback to just get out of bounds, save the timeout.
14 seconds remaining.
Gans is back in for the Gators, which is a good sign.
Fake the give to Gans, swing it out to Gans again. And another modest gain The 5 seconds off the clock, probably more detrimental than the yardage gained as Gerst there to guide him out of bounds. And you maybe get one shot.
Yeah, sorry, Josh. Or you might have a chance to get another quick 5 to 10 yard completion here if you're able to do it in the 5 to 6 second range. Call the timeout and ensure that your quarterback has the oomph to get that ball into the end zone.
Looks like that is what they might try. No, Kuchak is going to take the shot to the end zone on a Hail Mary. Had some receivers there. A nice throw. And he's shaking out his arm now, and that is a big problem for Gateway. Kuchakis, after making that throw, and there's still a second left, shaking out his arm, grabbing at his elbow and his forearm, it looked like, which is never a good sign. Trying to shake out the hand.
And he did take a shot at the end of that one. Or you wonder if he just pull something, given that the old heave-ho. And it's an interesting situation now. You don't want to exacerbate anything that might have happened. But you do have a second left on the clock and an opportunity to take one more shot.
And a backup quarterback who's out for the season, so who's going to take this snap is the question. Looks like Kuchakis heading back after getting a bit of water and maybe collecting himself a bit. See if they take another shot to the end zone or just...
Might as well. I mean, you got the ball in plus territory.
Yeah, if the arm feels okay, then there's no reason not to. Surprising, a second still left on the clock. Only 8 seconds on that play to get that all the way to the end zone.
It was a good ball, too.
Yeah, gave all of his receivers a chance right at the front of the end zone, exactly where you want to throw that. Maybe look for the tight end, Carter. He's split out as well, 6 foot tall. Some additional size at 205. Some pressure comes, thrown over the middle, trying to pitch it to Carter. A risky play on the last play of the half. It's recovered by Hempfield, and we'll go to the break. Some additional yardage for Kuchakis on that completion. And it's a similar story to what we saw last week, Vince. Gateway getting out to a pretty strong start, had a 2-touchdown, even a 3-touchdown lead in this one. And the momentum starts to shift, and you go into halftime not feeling nearly as great as you thought you would after one quarter of play.
Yeah, the Gators came out and really took this game by the handle, only to see again a couple touchdowns late, a couple lapses defensively. The offense still looks like it's putting together. They just ran out of time on that drive, only 39 seconds, but clearly they still have the ability to move the ball at will. Can they keep that pedal to the metal offensively if this does turn into a bit of a barn burner? Can they just keep that distance out in front? That's going to be the big key for a Gators team that really could use a win tonight. It's probably not 100% needed to get into the postseason should the other results go their way, but that extra win will go a long way towards that playoff selection committee looking at 3-7 versus 4-6.
Absolutely. We've been scoreboard watching a lot. The most important scoreboard to watch is this one here. Right now it reads 21-14 as we head into the half.
Yeah, the Gators have done what they've needed to do, but now another 24 minutes ahead of us. The other scores have held serve. Penn Hills is in front of Plum. Kiski's down to Woodland Hills. Penn Trafford's taking care of business against Latrobe. We haven't seen a score yet for Moon and South Fayette. That's one where a South Fayette win probably helps the Gators a lot more than a Moon win does. We'll try and find that one going into the second half, but for all intents and purposes, things are lining up well for the Gators thus far tonight, but they still have work ahead of them here tonight.
Gateway will look to take care of business in the second half, and we'll be back with you for that on GatewayGatorProductions.com.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Please welcome to the field the 2024 Gateway High School Marching Band. The band is proud to present our 2024 competition show titled Breaking Darkness, featuring the music of Alanis Morissette, Leonard Cohen, Edward Elgar, and original material by Luke McMillan. Tonight, the Gateway Band will perform the movements 2 and 3 of their production. And now, the Gateway Music Department is proud to present Drum Major Landon Moore and the Gateway High School Marching Band. directed by Mr. Ryan Moser, with assistance from Kelly McMaster Parsons, Dave Verda, Casey Burke, Doc McGrew, with field guard direction by Jamie Connor and Deb Costa. The Gateway Band would like to extend well wishes to the Hempfield area band for a fantastic season. And don't miss the Gator Marching Band and 13 other bands compete in the Pimbo Marching Band Championships. It all happens this Saturday right here at Gateway High School. It all starts at 4 p.m. For more details, visit pimbo.org. See you there, and thanks again for your kind support.
Welcome back in for the second half. I'm Josh Orsh alongside Vince Russo here at Anti-Marino Stadium, and Gateway got out to a very hot start, took a 21-0 lead, and then it was all Hempfield until the end of the first half. What are you expecting to see as we come out here in the second half with Hempfield getting the ball to start things off?
Well, the Gator secondary is going to have to avoid the big chunk plays. The pressure on the quarterback has also gone by the wayside. I think Dom Dietrich has done a good job stepping up into the pocket, utilizing his legs, keeping the Gators at bay, and they were dynamic in that second quarter, able to put 2 touchdowns up on the board in successive drives. You give up one with less than a minute left, and now this game becomes a little bit uncomfortable for what is, again, for all intents and purposes, feels like a playoff game. Is there a path forward for the Gators in the postseason if they finish 3-7? Maybe, but boy, a 4th win would really go a long way, and it would be especially painful to drop this one when the other out-of-town scores, for the most part, are all going your way. So What do I expect? I expect this to be potentially a shootout. I expect it to come down to the very end, as many of these games have this season, and it's going to be which of these two teams that have struggled all year makes the least amount of mistakes.
And both of these teams coming into this one at 3-6, 2-4 in conference play. Gateway 6th place in the Big East Conference of 5A, or of the Allegheny 6 Conference of 5A. And if it's going to be a shootout, as you mentioned, that could be a good thing for Gateway because the offense looked really sharp. They ran out of time before the end of the first half, but they looked really sharp early, and Elvis Kouchakis is pretty dialed in that first half.
Sure is. My goodness, has he completed some really, really tough throws, especially the one on the run, the dime toward the back of the field of play, leading Wade Lewis right into the end zone. There were certainly some things there that made you feel really good about not only his performance tonight, but feeling bullish on where he's headed as the signal caller as a freshman for the Gators for the foreseeable future. And so they're going to need him to continue to make big plays. I think keep it simple, get the ball into the hands of Amari Gans. Boy, has he looked dynamic tonight. And I know I've joked about it a couple times in the first half, but he was elusive and physical. They were not able to bring him down on a number of occasions. Would have had a 3rd touchdown if not for an ineligible man downfield, but still 2 scores in the first half, 16 on the season. His resume speaks for itself. Get the ball into the hands of number 5 and let him make big plays.
Kouchakis is going to be the future. Amari Gans might be the near future, the right now, the second half as Gateway's prepared to send it away. And we're about to get underway here in the second half on Gateway Gator Productions. Lococo ready. And Lococo sends it deep. It's muffed momentarily, but still a very big return, and both times we've seen Hempfield nearly mishandle a kickoff. They've gotten a pretty nice return out of it.
They sure have. They've had some decent returns throughout the evening overall. That's something the Gators need to shore up. You want to really stop drives before they begin. That psychological battle of the field position game, pinning your opponents deep, making that field look incredibly long. If a big special teams play happens, it really sets the table for the offense to come out already with some momentum and some excitement about what they're about to try and accomplish.
Dietrich back in the shotgun. Strong end of the first half. Looks like a change for the Gateway defense. Tyree Gowder in at safety for Julian Dancier. That one over the middle, incomplete behind his receiver. Leading receiver on the year, Jack Kopass.
And good coverage that time by Harper, who very nearly had an interception in that first hand. Went through the hands. Would have been a tough over-the-shoulder catch, but one that would like to have seen him come down with, and that time made sure that the quarterback, Dietrich, had to throw that one where only his receiver could get it, and he still didn't execute all that well. I think if this secondary can close the gap a little bit, Dietrich, not necessarily a gunslinger, gives you the opportunity to make this offense one-dimensional.
Jack Humes split out very wide, and Dietrich going to look the other way, taking a shot down the sideline, looking for Mitchell Bitar, and it falls incomplete.
Now a really big play here for the Gators after, again, really good coverage by Carlos Diggs. Step for step, that ball was going to have to be perfect to get completed. It was not. That's what you got to do. You got to make the quarterback be perfect. And more often than not, I'm willing to bet he's not going to be perfect tonight. And so now you get the opportunity to get off the field, get all the momentum in your hands, try and go back up by 2 scores. But it all starts here, getting a big stop deep in your own territory.
Bitar comes in motion across the formation. Dietrich takes a snap, has room to step up. He'll throw downfield instead. And another good throw on the run. Owen Buckholz on the receiving end of it, and Hempfield up at about the 49-yard line with a first down on 3rd and 10.
That's what we talked about just a moment ago leading into the half, is that Dietrich has done a good job running the ball. And so here, the Gators kind of freeze. They don't know whether to come up and pursue him in the run. They sort of lose track of what's going on in the middle of the field. That gave Buckholz a chance to sort of slip in between a few defenders, and good awareness to be at the sticks so that when he caught that ball, he had the first down.
The seas have parted quite a bit along the offensive line for Dietrich. A lot of room to step up. This time he'll fade back in the pocket, find Kopaz streaking across the field, and a nice gain on first down. We'll set up 2nd and 3.
Knight able to make a big tackle there to keep that from being a much larger gain. After you'll see here, just a bad effort there by Casey Carter. Just got caught trying to make an arm tackle.
Quick screen looking for Bitar. Has some blockers and a first down.
Feels like this Gators team has to find a way to get a takeaway or to make a big play. Right now it's just death by 1,000 paper cuts. Just getting chunk play after chunk play are the Hempfield Spartans.
Handoff, first one of the half, and it's productive. Reddick catcher. A lot of options out of this Hempfield backfield. They rotate them in. Catcher has a rushing touchdown. That was as a Wildcat quarterback. A long run also for Rogan catcher, number 4. So they have quite a few weapons at their disposal. Empty set. Smith comes in motion. Quarterback keeper all the way. And looks like Mark Knight came out of the pile with the ball and a lot of room to run, but the play had been whistled dead. First down, Hempfield.
So Don Hall was gesturing at the ball for Mark Knight to go and get it. I think to give it back to the official, because you run the risk after he had sort of spiked it of getting a delay of game penalty. But I think then Knight and company thought that the ball was still live and ran after it as if it were a live ball. So sort of a comical miscommunication there, but interesting. I'm not sure if we can get a good look at it, but
it was hard to see how Knight came out of that pile with it. Looked like forward progress might have been stopped. First down for Hempfield nonetheless, and now the clock will finally run after that fairly lengthy delay with Knight going the other direction.
Hempfield continues to put these 3 receivers at the bottom of the screen, and again, there's a lot of open room there.
They have numbers if they want to take advantage of it. Dietrich looked that way at first, came back to the other side of the field to Bitar one-on-one with Diggs. He seems to like that matchup. Carlos Diggs, probably the best cornerback on this Gateway defense, but Dietrich is looking Bitar's way early in the second half.
Just feels like the Spartans offense is a step ahead at all times of the Gators defense right now. Everything that they want to do is working. They've been able to set the run up through the passing game. Every time they've handed the ball off, they've gotten big chunks of yardage, and they're just dinking and dunking all the way down the field.
Keeper again for Dietrich. And a first down again for Hempfield. They continue to matriculate the ball down the field at about the 16, 15-yard line now, well into the red zone with a fresh set of downs.
When you're so good on first down that you end up in 2nd and 1 situations, it makes it so easy to convert and opens your playbook up so much. You're able to do so much, and the last couple times they've been content to just let number 11, their trusted quarterback, take it and move the pile forward just enough to move the chains.
Dietrich from shotgun. Looking left, comes back right, has an open man. Mark Knight unable to keep him out of the end zone.
I think he was just a little short.
The signal from one official looked like he was going to raise both arms, and then he didn't. Knight able to get a hold of that jersey of Catcher, Reddick Catcher, the senior out of the backfield, making that grab, and
oh boy, he might have got in. That was close.
Looks like it's going to be a keeper.
Well, I don't know that he got in that time either.
QB sneaking again. Gateway comes out of the pile with the ball. That time Jackson Smith. Again, the play whistle dead well before he ended up with it. Didn't look like Dietrich got there.
Well, the ball did squirt loose. It just was the play blown dead at that point or not. Got to be real careful here. If you do decide to pass the ball, tight windows.
Flag comes in. See what the call is.
Illegal procedure.
Second time on the goal line that Hempfield has looked a bit unsure about what they're going to do, and that time it cost them. Last time they had to burn a timeout. This may be even worse, backing you up.
This could be a huge break for the Gators. Still 3 downs to work with for Hempfield. But you get the break there, you get 5 yards. See if the Gators can turn the ball over here maybe.
Full house in the backfield. Dietrich out of the pistol. The give is to Catcher. Rogan Catcher tackled short of the goal line.
Rogan Catcher on the carry.
A decent run. Catcher able to get a decent amount of those penalty yards back. But you sacrifice a down essentially to do that. But certainly 4 down territory you'd think here for Hempfield, trying to tie this game up.
Dietrich drops back. And he has his man. Touchdown, Owen Buckholz. Hempfield ties it up, pending the extra point. Gateway stormed out to a huge lead, a 3-score lead in the first half. And just like that, it's gone. Dietrich dropping further and further back before he finally finds his man. Buckholz, the receiver, matched up against the linebacker.
Well, you just can't allow the receiver to run across your entire defense like that again and again throughout the evening.
The extra point is good. Owen Linsenbigler, the right tackle for the Hempfield offense, tacks it on. And as you said, it's coverage issues for Gateway, but it's also a lack of pressure that they were getting earlier against Dietrich.
Dietrich has had a lot of time back there, and you'll see there's no real threat.
Even with a free rusher, he's still able to buy quite a bit of time.
Didn't look panicked, just continued to backpedal a little bit. Didn't need to make an overly difficult throw. The receiver had separation, was wide open, and it's just been a collapse defensively for the Gators, and now you got to hang your hat on that offense that was so good in the first half. And now it looks like a game that perhaps whoever has the ball last might have a chance to win this.
That is the good news for the Gators, getting the ball back in the hands of Kuchakis, who was excellent in half number 1. Hempfield sending it short on the squib. Fielded by the up back, Monty Lemon.
Lemon,
if you're Lemon, you
Recovered
got to
a
go
fumble
down.
earlier.
If you're the up man, you're in a super disadvantageous position to try and return this kick. Almost always the coach advises that the up man should just go ahead and get down. As spooky season, look at that. We got
A couple of costumes, a hot dog.
in time for Halloween.
Scooby-Doo's mixed in there, banana. Couple of good costumes.
Spider-Man.
Gateway trying to scare the Hempfield defense again. Amari Gans has done that all night. He gets the give. Trying to break it outside, and does. Breaks quite a few tackles, makes another man miss. Not a ton of yardage gained, but wow, what a run.
Stop by 5.
He has been so tough to tackle tonight. And you see here, just a shoulder and trying to grab onto a leg, not going to get it done. You got to get your hands around both legs and continue to drive those feet. That time, he makes them pay.
Kuchakis keeps it that time on the option.
Kuchakis.
Hempfield made a nice halftime adjustment, it appears, against that pitch option. They had it covered up.
I was just going to say the exact same thing, Josh. They put someone out there on Gans right away to prevent Kuchakis from feeling comfortable making that pitch. They got burned on that play a number of times in the first half, and they were definitely going to make sure that was not going to be the case here in half number 2.
Hempfield showing pressure. They're going to bring it. Swung outside to Amari Gans. What can he do with it? Not a whole lot. The tackling in the secondary for Hempfield has been much improved in the second half.
Tackled by 58.
And that'll force a punt, it appears.
Yeah, deep in your own territory. That's a tough way to start the half. 3 and out. You see some frustration in the body language coming off for the Gateway offense. They were hoping to get some points on the board, and now got to give it back to a Hempfield offense that scored on their last 3 possessions.
Got the ball in the hands of the right player that time. Gans, with those touches, just couldn't make much of it. Fair caught at about the 38, 39 yard line by Reddick Catcher. Hempfield's going to go back to work, and they got to be feeling great about that.
If you're Gateway, you think about all the missed opportunities you've had, the penalties that have taken points off the board, Harper being unable to come down with that interception, the missed tackles, all these things, these little things that lead to where we are now. But the good news is they're a play away from getting back out in front, and they've got the horses to do it.
Play clock winding down. Hempfield's got to go, and they do. Dietrich looking downfield, going right at Carlos Diggs again. Bitar with another grab.
Pass is complete to
You'll see here the down linemen and linebackers sort of let up. Lay the hit on the quarterback there before he lets go of the ball. You've got to be more careful in today's day and age of football, but it's not illegal to hit the quarterback as he's letting go of the ball to let him know you're there. Dietrich is just entirely too comfortable back in the pocket there.
And he has been since about the start of the second quarter. Second and short. Dietrich pumps, looks deep. He's going to take a shot. Had one-on-one. His best receiver against Gowder. Jack Kopaz couldn't run it down.
Pass is incomplete.
And again, good coverage by the Gators. And now, I mean, that's a smart play call on 2nd and 2. You got the opportunity to take a shot and now come back down to earth, maybe run it with Dietrich. Again, had the time, was able to uncork one there. See if he keeps it here, if he hands it off.
Hume coming in motion. Lays a nice block, and the run by Catcher for the first down. Not very many handoffs for this Hempfield offense, but they seem to be very effective when they do give it to the backs.
Almost a half a dozen yards, it feels like, every single time. And it's been good balance by this offensive play calling for Hempfield. They've actually used the pass to set up the run. Just everything going the Spartans' way offensively right now.
Hume comes in motion again. And they give again to Catcher, who has the edge. A nice tackle by Gans, who's able to slow him up for Knight to get there. Looked like he was around the edge and could have been gone. Watch number 5 on this replay.
Yeah, great effort by Gans to just grab the jersey and hold the ball carrier up enough to allow others to come in and clean that up, but not until they get a really nice gain. And once again, this Hempfield offense has stayed on schedule so well, so frequently finding themselves in second and third and short situations.
Looking to take another shot for Buckholtz, just throwing up the jump ball. And Buckholtz beats Stammer at the catch point. Another first down and back into the red zone very quickly go the Spartans.
They are playing with some real swagger and some real confidence right now. And the Gators have to dig deep to try and force a field goal attempt or to stymie this offensive attack.
To the wide side of the field, Bitar makes a man miss, has some space. Smith there to bring him down. Harper as well. Might have been Gowder who got dropped by the nice move from the wide receiver. And it was.
At the Gator 3.
Secondary's played off of the receivers so much. They've been able to get that ball out quickly on the short passes and set up blockers. That time, didn't even need him. Just a really nice move by the receiver.
Quarterback keeper looking to go to the right side. Not much there, a nice play by Gateway defensively. They drop Dietrich for about 1.5 yard loss.
Gowder and Knight. Second down, goal.
Good job. When they've gotten down toward the goal line, first and second down have been wins for the Gators. It's, you know, when you put yourself in these situations where you need to come up with the stops 4 times in a row, that's really tough to ask any defense to do.
Looks like some confusion again potentially around the goal line for Hempfield. They've been very successful down there once they get the message across to the offense what play they want to run. Back motions out of the backfield. Dietrich has to make a man miss. That was Amari Gans. He's thrown towards the end zone. Short of the end zone, it falls incomplete. Gans in coverage.
Third down.
That time, the Gators defense looked the part. Fast, tenacious. Gans gets in there, disrupts the timing for Dietrich. And on the other end of it, Stammer able to get in and make a really nice play with the pass deflection. Gets the hand in there without making too much contact on the receiver. Brings up a really, really big third down after a nice defensive play.
Full house again. Fake the give, play action, and they bit hard on it. Dietrich, another touchdown toss. This time to Aiden Allison. Not a lot of touches on the year, but a lot of trips to the end zone for Allison.
My goodness. What a well-designed play and what great execution. Yeah, Allison, just 15 touches coming into this contest on the season, but 5 touchdowns on those 15 touches. Another one here tonight, and 28 unanswered.
That extra point is through.
The kick is good.
Number 6 from Allison puts Hempfield ahead for the first time tonight, 28-21. The Gators reeling after a really hot start. We've been scoreboard watching all night. The scoreboard that's most important is the one here at Ante Marino Stadium. And Gateway right now, trailing by a touchdown, doesn't seem to have much answer for the Hempfield offense. So we take a look at that scoreboard. Third quarter, nearing a close, 1:07 remaining. And we haven't seen a whole lot of offense. We've said Gateway hasn't been able to get stops. At least they can rely on their offense. The last couple of possessions, that hasn't really been the case. So now here's an opportunity to get back on track.
We talked about a lot of those out-of-town scores going the Gators' way, at least in the first half, but none of that really matters if you can't take care of business here at home. And super demoralizing to lose a 21-point lead and a double-digit lead for the second consecutive week.
Especially against a team that's not going to be in the playoffs in 6A. Return comes out about to the 27, 28-yard line by Colt. And we can take a look at those 6A standings with Central Catholic on top. Hempfield lost to Mount Lebanon last week. Back-to-back losses for the Spartans coming into this one near the bottom of 6A, but they have the lead here in this one.
Yeah, and with Mount Lebanon leading tonight, not likely that Hempfield will see their season continue past tonight.
Swung out to Gans. Finally a bit of space. Had a lead blocker out there with them, Malik Anderson. And a first down for Gateway, exactly what they needed on the first play of the drive.
Gut check time for the Gators, and a great effort there on first down by Gans, just muscling his way past the line to gain. Going to need more efforts like that from him and the rest of the skill position players if they want to get back in this one.
Faking the give, throw across the middle, looking for Harper, and that one bounced. Incomplete. That throw a little bit low from Kuchakis, but certainly catchable on the slant.
Incomplete. Second down.
And we'll get another good look at this one. Good angle here from our crew, and that went a little out in front, like you said, Josh, a little low, but certainly still had an opportunity to be caught.
Looking for the pitch. That time they have it to Gans with a lot of room to run. And another first down for Amari Gans. Went back to that sprint option. Hempfield had an answer the first time they ran it in the second half. Not that time.
Gans is running so angry tonight. You'll see how he finishes this run. It's the hallmark of good running backs. Look at him pump those legs, stick the arm out on the stiff arm, and get those tough extra yards. That makes such a big difference when you're trying to put a drive together to stop the momentum that Hempfield has put together here.
Gans flanking Kuchakis from the shotgun. Fakes the give. Looking near side to Harper. Has a convoy. And a nice little gain on first down with that quick screen.
You'll take that every time. I mean, that's what Hempfield has essentially been able to do on the offensive side of the ball, is pick up those incremental chunks of yards. And that time, nothing super sexy about getting 8 yards on first down, but what it does is sets you up with a second down here where you get a chance to take a shot downfield or hand it off to Gans and continue to move the chains.
Pretty quick pace to that third quarter, and a similar result to what we saw at the end of the first half. Hempfield in control. Gateway looking to flip the script on that. They're driving right now. What do you feel like they've gotten back to? Obviously, Gans finally having some success. They're going to him a lot, but offensively, it seems like they have a bit more of a rhythm than they had maybe at the end of the first half.
It's felt like this offense all season long has been at their best when they've gotten the ball out of Kuchakis' hands quickly and into the hands of their playmakers in stride with a chance to pick up yards after the reception or on the pitch to Gans. They already get him running in motion, in a rhythm. Then he gets the ball in his hands and he's able to do some really special things. That feels like it's been the difference as they get back into a rhythm here.
Gateway hit a couple of deep shots early on. Maybe fell in love with those, hunting them at the end of the first half. Now, just getting the ball in the hands of their best player. Kuchakis again, flanked by Gans. Pulls it, gets it out to Knight. And a tough run. Gets first down yardage and then some up to the 30-yard line on a nice little RPO tight end screen.
You'll get a good look at it here. Knight, another guy that arm tackles are not going to do any good against this guy. He's got that size and that real aggressive nature. He loves the physical component of this game. And I'm sure it felt good for him to be able to dish it out on offense for a change.
Give to Gans that time. Up the middle. Ripping at the ball is Hume, but Gans hangs on to it. And to that last play, getting the ball in the hands of Knight with the top two receivers on this team, Moorfield out and Lewis, who's been out the entire season. Maybe Gateway needs to lean on those tight ends a little bit more in the second half. They didn't so much in the first.
Yeah, Casey Carter, every time he has the ball in his hands, looks very natural with it, very sure-handed, very hard to tackle.
Kuchakis, keeper all the way, running to the left. Takes a lick at the end of that one from Buckholtz. And it's a loss of about a half yard. Setting up third and very long.
Yeah, you can't go from 2nd and 7 to 3rd and 11. That's a real tough break. And certainly, this is 4-down territory for the Gators here in the fourth quarter, down a touchdown. But you hate to put yourself behind the chains. And to that end, the Gators don't have to get all 11 on this play. Certainly would be nice, but you need to move this ball forward. Give yourself a real good chance to convert should you have to face a 4th down.
Play clock dwindling. Got the snap off. The pitch is to Gans. And he gets a lot of it back before bouncing out of bounds, but not all of it. Felt like he potentially could have had a little bit more if he wanted to cut that back inside.
Yeah, right there. You got to be careful, though. You don't want Lewis inadvertently laying a blindside block. You did what you needed to do to give yourself a more manageable 4th down here. But, boy, to stop the bleeding and to keep Hempfield from just retaining so much momentum, this feels like such a consequential play in this game.
Hempfield showing pressure. They drop out of it a bit. The pitch is to Gans. He's trying to bounce it outside. Breaks one tackle. He has the first down. They go the option to the other side. Looked like Hempfield maybe had an answer. But sometimes it's not about X's and O's. That time, Amari Gans just breaking a tackle and getting the first down yardage.
You said it, Josh. That was all Gans on that one to move the chains. A Herculean effort by the back.
Give up the middle. Gans again breaking a couple tackles. And a nice gain before Hume drags him down from behind.
Over the middle.
2nd and short inside the 10-yard line.
I think you just got to feed him, especially down here around the goal line. Your margin for error is so thin. You got to be careful with it.
The give is to Gans again. They agree. Cuts it back inside. Trying to reach for it. Did the ball come out? Hempfield football with some room to run. Spartans take over. Amari Gans about as close as you can come. Tries to extend the football. Braden Gerst ended up with it. Hume was bringing him down. Smith was there as well. Gerst comes up with it and takes it out past the 20-yard line to set the Spartans up.
It's situational football. I mean, you had what would have been a 1st and goal inside the 1, and just trying to do too much, you once again come up short in a season where you've had so many opportunities to get back into games. That's just sickening to watch happen.
With the issues on extra points at the end of 3 games this year, and then that fumble, which could potentially ultimately keep Gateway out of the playoff picture. We'll have to see. There's still 9 minutes left. It seems like the fate of this season has all come within the 2-yard line.
Sure has. My goodness. They did everything so right on that drive. And you hate to see that happen to Amari Gans, who has played so well tonight. This is arguably his best performance of the season.
Dietrich with the keeper, working his way to the right side after a penalty on first down made it 1st and 15. Knight was there to bring him down.
2nd down.
And this is your season on the other end. You get a gift. It's 1st and 15 instead of 1st and 10. You wonder how aggressive Hempfield is going to decide to be here with a 7-point lead, or if they decide to go sort of into the shell and run the ball. If you can get a stop here and get the ball back, you've got to have the memory of a goldfish. You got to get back out there and focus in on everything that went so well leading up to that fumble.
And if you're Hempfield, you may not have checked the Mount Lebanon score tonight, but the season likely over after this one, so why not stay aggressive? The offense has been working so well. That time the give is to catcher.
That's a good point. Don't have much to lose, and you don't really have anything to gain other than a little pride and a chance to really drive the stake through the heart of the Gators' playoff hopes.
And it hasn't looked like a team who doesn't have anything to play for. They've been playing hard all night long.
We talked about earlier, an opportunity for the Gators to roll over and quit. How about down 21-0 early in the first half of this one, and for the Spartans to be able to stay the course? It's impressive resiliency.
Something head coach Nick Kiefer is certainly going to feel good about regardless of the outcome of this one. Dietrich rolling left. Maybe his best throw of the night to Kopass.
So much separation there.
First down.
Just too easy for Dietrich, who just had to get that one in the vicinity of the receiver.
First down at the 40-yard line. Letting the clock run down. Likely going to snap it pretty late in the play clock the rest of the way are the Hempfield Spartans. Hume comes in motion. The give to catcher again. Nice little gain. And even more, a nice little gain turns into an excellent first down run with a great finish and some help from his offensive line. Khalid Harper, the freshman linebacker, in with many others on the tackle.
This is a real critical juncture for the Gators. You've let up a couple first downs. You start to have some doubt creeping in. You've given up a plethora of touchdowns between the second and third quarter. And all of a sudden it becomes more and more frustrating to try and get in there and make a tackle, but you've got to find a way to get a stop here. Your season hangs in the balance on whether or not you can keep Hempfield from putting points on the board.
2nd and 2. Dietrich pulls it up the middle.
Ball was out. I think Dietrich got back on it.
Seemed to bounce right back up into his stomach as he fell to the ground. A big hit in the secondary. Jarred it loose.
That close to an opportunity for the Gators after a nice run again by Dietrich. And right there, the combination of Gans and number 17 for the Gators, a number we haven't called a ton this season, but it's Tyree Gowder making the play in the secondary.
Gowder, who replaced Dancier at halftime at safety, now patrolling the middle of the field as the lone deep safety, as Dietrich sets up on 1st and 10 from the shotgun with trips to the wide side. He's going to give it to his running back, Rogan Catcher.
Catcher around left end.
With a small gain on 1st down.
And this clock is rolling right along. And this already kind of was, but now undoubtedly is a possession that will decide potentially this game. If Hempfield gets points, it really just becomes a numbers game. Is there enough time on the clock for the Gators to go ahead and get 2 scores?
Trips to the short side. Receiver comes in motion. Play fake. And coming across the formation, the grab is made. And it looks like it's going to be another 1st down as Mitchell Bitar makes a man miss nearly in the backfield after making that grab.
Poor tackling again, haunting the Gators.
1st down.
Hempfield just getting the ball out into the hands of playmakers like Bitar, who's able to just evade so many would-be tacklers for the Gateway Gators. That secondary just having an incredibly tough night, and that's been an area of attrition as well. You just talked about Dan Sear being out. That's a group that's been decimated by injuries.
Dietrich, keeper. Gowder, a nice tackle. He's acquitted himself well in the secondary. Though a nice gain in 2nd and short.
2nd down, 3.
Steady as it goes. It just feels like the Gators have no response for this offense. You sort of get to a point where you run out of words to describe it. And that time, a really good play call. They sell what looked like it was going to be a screen pass, and then Dietrich able to just take off, and so much real estate to work with in the middle of the field there.
Trying to do it again with a quarterback draw all the way. Got to him in the backfield, and then he turned it into a small gain by falling forward.
Well, there's certain things you can't teach, and as we talked about earlier, being 6 foot, 205 is something you can't teach, and he's able to use that size effectively. And now a huge 3rd down. You want to try to force a field goal attempt here.
Dietrich under center.
You also got to be careful. You cannot jump offside here.
They nearly did. He'll back off. 5 seconds on the play clock. And it looks like they're going to take a timeout, let it run all the way down to 3:39 remaining in the game. Hempfield ahead a touchdown. Probably the season on the line for Gateway. It'll come down to the selection committee ultimately, but it's going to be really tough to get into the 5A playoff picture with just 3 wins. A stop here. Chance to force a field goal, maybe get a stop on 4th down, take over, and you got a shot to tie the game.
Well, let's think about it. You know, the Gators have gotten some scores to go their way tonight. Plum loses to Penn Hills. They're out of the equation. The Northeast Conference looks like it's going to be simply 3 teams getting in from that end. Moon was up handily on South Fayette. I think South Fayette might still get in with the 6 wins on the season. That's not a score you necessarily wanted to see, because that probably puts Moon into a playoff position. So you think you might get 5 in from the Allegheny 6. You're getting at least 3. So you do that math, 3, 3, 5, that's 11. It essentially comes down to Latrobe, Gateway, and Kiski. And those scores were holding. Latrobe has lost. Woodland Hills was up. So let's pull that thread and say that that's a loss. But if the Gators only have 3 wins, they can't get a 4th one here tonight. I just don't know how the selection committee puts them in.
Wildcat catcher has the 1st down. Gowder brings him down. Some trickery coming out of the timeout. Going with the running back at quarterback. The quarterback motioning out of the backfield. Though the trickery didn't really matter. Just man football on the inside, and Hempfield's been winning that matchup since the end of the first quarter. Now the clock is going to wind likely to about exactly 3 minutes by the time this ball eventually gets snapped. Wildcat again, catcher again at quarterback, pulling out all the stops here. He'll keep it, has some room to run. A shoestring tackle reaching for the end zone as well. Gowder brought him down. It'll set up Hempfield at the goal line. First and goal. Chance to milk some clock here. You may just want to force Gateway to use its timeouts before kicking a field goal.
Yeah, if you're Hempfield, that is not the worst thing in the world that you didn't end up scoring on that play. You've got the ball at the 1. You've been able to move it at will. If nothing else, you allow yourself to let another 30 seconds trickle off the clock.
See what the play call is here. They're going to try and score. And they do to go up 2 scores.
I think that's the right call with it being a 1-score game. I don't think you try to meddle with it too much and be cute with it. I think you put your nose down, get those points on the board, and force Gateway to find a way to score 2 touchdowns with 2 minutes and 16 seconds left. Absolutely the right call.
34-21 pending this extra point from Lindsey Bigler, who's been excellent on the extra points all night. He's also been excellent on the offensive line. The Spartans just leaning on Gateway. Since a quick start to this one for the Gators, it has been all Spartans, potentially capped off by that touchdown. 2:16 remaining as the Gators getting the ball back. They're going to have to work very quickly, and they're probably going to need to convert an onside kick to have any shot at this one.
Which they did earlier in the season, a game you were here in attendance for against Franklin Regional. So they've been there, they've done that, they got the T-shirt, but they're going to have to do it again. But even before we start that conversation, they've got to move the ball down the field with big chunk plays, and you just wonder, with Dancier being out, you lose another skill position player. You're already gutted at the receiver position. Can you find a way to get Gans out of the backfield, hit him? You know, they had some luck with that sort of running back seam route out of the backfield. I'm not so sure you don't just line him up as a receiver at this point.
And going back to that, what felt somewhat inconsequential at the time, Gans' touchdown that was wiped off the board by a penalty, kind of a big deal at this point, because that would have us at a 1-score game. Obviously, different things play out differently, but they had 6 points on the board, and then they weren't able to convert on that drive.
Well, if it's 28-0 or 28-7, you wonder, you do seriously wonder, with a team that's down and out and now knowing they're not going to make the playoffs, is that the nail in the coffin that puts that team away psychologically in a game? And it's those little things that when the breaks go against you and you allow a team to get up off the mat and back into the fight, you open yourself up for things like this to happen. And full credit to Hempfield for staying with it after falling behind by so much and finding a way to score 35 unanswered points in this one.
Not ideal starting field position at the 15-yard line. Kuchakis in the shotgun, flanked by Gans. And they need a lot, and they need it quickly. A lot of time to work with it, but the ball slips out. He'll just have to fall on it. Going from bad to worse here in a 2-minute drill.
Second down.
That forces a timeout by Gateway. Probably have to, because your receivers were all downfield. You didn't have a chance to get the throw off. The clock's going to keep running. Your quarterback likely rattled after the ball just slips out of his hands. We haven't seen a ton of freshman moments from the freshman quarterback. That was one right there.
Sure was. And boy, Now you have the ball at your own 8-yard line, a minute 58, down 2 scores. Again, it just becomes a numbers game, right? Do you have enough time? They're going to need to break a big play. They're going to need to find a way to push the ball downfield to Gans or Dyson Harper, Wade Lewis, who caught the long touchdown earlier. Can they get Kuchakis moving and extending a play? Can they try to get enough time for him to allow these receivers to have coverage break down and maybe just improvise and get behind someone defensively? That feels like it's going to be what it needs to take here for Gateway to put a score up quickly.
Or even to get a first down, now facing 2nd and 18 after the Kuchakis fumble. Knight and Lewis split out wide to the near side. Diggs and Harper the other way. Gans in the backfield. They're taking a look at the clock right now. It currently reads 1:58. A full play clock. And 2:03 is maybe what we're hoping to get to when that timeout was called. Now reads 2 minutes. We'll see if they're happy with that or if they want to tack on 3 seconds more.
I can answer that for you. I don't think they are. And usually your home cooking, they get that up pretty quickly. That one took a little bit of time.
Quarterback draw with Kuchakis. Not sure about the play call. Brought down quickly. Got to rush to the line of scrimmage, and doesn't look like Gateway has much urgency. Knight was jawing with the Hempfield defensive back, Aiden Allison, and precious time ticking away. Kuchakis looking deep. Hume is there. 4th and very long now from about the 1-yard line, and that might do it. The clock continues to run. Timeout Gateway to stop that. 1:24 currently the reading. They had some hope. There was a chance to put together a drive, and that pretty much all dissipated the second the ball slipped out of Kuchakis' hand. It hasn't gotten any better from that play either.
Hard to put into words just how quickly that evaporated and has turned into what it is now. Just an abject disaster.
And 2 straight weeks now, likely. Again, 4th and 22, still life somewhat. But back-to-back weeks now where Gateway jumps out to a big lead and their defense looks great. That's the footnote in this is the Gators looked excellent defensively at the start of this one and last week against Latrobe starting things off. And back-to-back weeks where the other sideline makes some adjustments and there maybe aren't as many or as successful ones on the Gateway sideline, and things continue to spiral. Kuchakis fakes the give to Gans, looking downfield. That falls incomplete. Hempfield's going to take over at about the 3-yard line with 1:19 remaining, ahead 35-21.
I think the last time we saw this stark of a contrast in a game and how quickly it flipped is when the Gators went out a few years ago to Hempfield and laid 63 on a team that was celebrating homecoming and a first undefeated start to the season for the first time in many, many moons. This feels like a bit of comeuppance on the other end. I'm sure those that are tuned in and watching this one on the Hempfield side feel a bit vindicated. It was amazing how the pendulum swung in this one.
Flag comes in, delay a game, and they're just figuring out the victory formation. Don't look too comfortable in it, a team with just 3 wins on the season.
Oh, they really have struggled around the goal line getting the play in, Josh. I don't really know what that's about, but it seems like every time they've gotten inside the red zone, they've had miscommunications and sort of needed a moment or so to regroup.
Under center. And it's a give. And if that's your thought, Allison takes it into the end zone. You're hearkening back to a Gateway blowout. Maybe some people on the Hempfield sideline have a long memory about that. Out of victory formation, the handoff to Allison. Salt in the wound.
Unbelievable. I mean, what else do you say after you find yourself up 21-0 and to have us approaching 42 unanswered points in this one? It's leaves you speechless.
Backed up now. 42 in question, certainly 41 for this extra point, and they're walking them back even further. I'm not sure what the penalty was. Looks like a 15-yarder. And now an attempt from about 31 yards out. Linzenbigler hit from 33 last week. And now we're walking back even further.
What on earth is happening?
And I haven't seen a flag on the field at any point during this. It's all a formality at this point, but I'm not sure what happened there. Linzenbigler didn't have the leg for that one. I'm not sure why they kept moving him back.
There's some movement there on the line, too. They could have tacked 5 more if they really wanted to. Seems like it might have been a moot point.
Take a look at this play again. See if we actually see a flag come in afterwards. Maybe Allison breaking a tackle. A huge run. It is not often you see a trick play out of victory formation, and that is not something that will soon be forgotten on either sideline.
No, and with reclassification happening this offseason, these two teams will meet again in the final regular season contest next year, and so the Gators will have an entire year to sort of sit and simmer on this, and I am sure that this won't soon be forgotten when these two teams match up about this time here in 2025. Yeah, it's so hard. There could be some jawing down there. There could have been some trash talk, some obscenities thrown out. There's a pretty short leash on that, as there should be. So hard for us to really pin down what that penalty could have been.
Especially when there's no flag that comes in and no signal to us up here. If you're going to make that call, it's helpful to let some people know. But again, not really going to impact the outcome in this one. 41-21, the Hempfield lead. Terrence Cole, the return there. And the tackle made by Andrew Bentz, the sophomore defensive back and running back for the Spartans.
Hard to believe. It really was not that long ago in this game that Amari Gans was a half a yard away from giving the Gators a chance to tie this up, and how quickly it got away.
Gateway, 68 seconds left, trailing by 20 all of a sudden. Kuchakis looking to take a shot through a few sets of hands, seeking Wade Lewis, and incomplete.
We'll take another look here. Good job reading the eyes of the quarterback and nearly taking that one away. That was read perfectly by Troy Sebring.
And Hempfield may want to get the ball back. It looks like they might not be done scoring if they do. Gans just stepping out of bounds.
Pass complete to Gans. Run out of bounds by Seaburn. Third down.
Just not a whole lot happened. Even the plays that were working early in the game, the well has just dried up for this Gators offense. It feels like everything came to a screeching halt when Gans fumbled that ball right near the goal line.
Kuchakis looking to the right side, throwing over the middle. A nice throw to Harper for a first down and a big gain. Kuchakis, amongst all of this and the collapse, he's played well in both halves.
He's going to end up with around or over 1,500 yards and 15, 16 passing touchdowns on the season. For a freshman, there's a lot to feel excited about.
There's an interception on just a deep shot there, and 33 seconds left. Got to imagine that's going to do it. Hempfield's going to kneel this one out. The Spartans are going to move to 4-6. They finished 2-4 in 6A play. Gateway is going to end the year a surprising 3-7. Also 2-4 in their conference play. It will be up to the selection committee. Gateway did not leave a good taste in the mouths of the WPIAL officials who will be making that decision after this 41-21 home loss to end the season.
I just don't see a path forward for the Gators getting into the postseason. You know what? I mean, at the end of the day, it's a rebuilding year for a Gators squad that has some cause for optimism, some young playmakers. Casey Carter will be back next season, obviously Kuchakis amongst others, but they're going to have to find a way to move forward without guys like Sid Bryant, Mark Knight. A lot of their guys in the trenches are going to graduate and move forward. They never did have Kenny Lewis, but they're certainly not going to have him again, and they're going to have to find a way forward. But luckily, this seems to be a program and a school that football means a lot to this community, and they're going to find a way to find guys that want to come out and play at a high level next year. They always do.
And they may not have been expecting a full rebuild year. They certainly got one. Some early injuries to Kuchakis made things interesting. Sid Bryant filled in pretty well. A lot of close losses. We've talked about it all night. 3 losses came down to missed, blocked, or poor snaps on extra points. It's tough to overcome that in a very short season, a small sample size. There are a lot of positives about this team going forward, and maybe next year you get some of that luck to go your way because you didn't get it really at any point this year.
Such a snake-bitten season for the Gators, and so many little things that went wrong. It felt like everything that could go wrong went wrong this year.
Yeah.
And they still had a chance late in the season to qualify for the postseason. They remained in the fight. You never got the sense that this team rolled over and quit on what they were doing, and they just didn't have those bounces go their way this year. And you hope that a full off season and evaluating where things are at and who you've got, who's coming back, can help them put together a season next year, then get back to the top of the Big East.
And an offseason staying away from walking under ladders or any broken mirrors or anything like that. An up and down year, more downs than you would have expected, and a tough ending to it after what was such a promising start to this game. Kind of the story of this team in this season, and that may bring an end to the season. Ultimately, it'll come to the selection committee, but you can't feel great about it at this point, regardless of those other results. We were scoreboard watching, but ultimately this is the scoreboard that matters the most.
That 4th win really feels like it would have been the thing that kept them in the conversation.
Yeah.
At 3-7, I just don't see how the selection committee, especially how the performance fell apart tonight for the Gators. I don't see a path forward for them. So I don't anticipate seeing them in the postseason bracket. And they'll give them some time to lick their wounds and get ready for next season.
And if this is our last broadcast, thank you for joining us on Gateway Gator Productions. And thank you for having me on Gateway Gator Productions. It's been great to join the crew mid-season and, get up to speed for the end of the year. A lot of fun calling these last 2 games with you, and we'll look forward to more as we go forward into winter sports and everything else that comes on the channel.
Yeah, we got a lot to look forward to. Hoop season's always a lot of fun, swimming, wrestling, but certainly a big shout out to our crew that was able to bring soccer, volleyball, and football, led by Adam Gusky, Lee Schaefer III. We've got Lee Schaefer Jr. Taking care of camera and being our engineer extraordinaire on the back end. We've got so many folks that have put so much into this season that don't get enough credit. You'll see their names at the bottom of the screen, and it truly is a pleasure. And it's been great to add just another person into the fold to this Gateway Gator Productions family. So, Josh, you've done a great job. We're glad to have you along with us here, and we'll look forward to next year.
Yeah, absolutely, and hopefully I didn't bring the bad luck.
No, I think we're all right.
And that'll do it for tonight. Hempfield taking the win 41-21 over Gateway on Gateway Gator Productions.